When you think of an island, you probably think of something like this. But the islands we're going to talk about today are much more deadly. The urban heat island effect is a phenomenon that occurs in urban areas when lack of air circulation, permeable surfaces, and greenery causes a bubble of sorts to form around the area. The condensed design of cities causes air to not be able to circulate properly, so all the things that produce heat that humans do can get stuck in the air. Those emitted gases create a greenhouse effect by absorbing ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Dark, impermeable surfaces like sidewalks, roads, parking lots, and buildings block ground heat from entering the atmosphere. Hot air is trapped near ground level, where we most feel it, in what's called the canopy layer. Plumes of steam and pollutants rise because they aren't as dense as the surrounding particles. And that's the reason why your basement is so cold. Less dense, warm air rises, and more dense, cool air sinks. So the things we emit get trapped in urban areas. But why are dark surfaces to blame? You've probably experienced this before. Darker colors absorb 95% of wavelengths, instead of reflecting them like lighter colors. Plants act like lightly colored clothing. They deflect and absorb the radiation from the sun through photosynthesis and can shade building surfaces to decrease surface temperature. Through evapotranspiration, plants release water vapor out of their leaves, cooling their surroundings. We can measure the urban heat island effect using geospatial satellites, which use infrared radiation to measure wavelengths emitted from surfaces. Shorter wavelengths mean ultraviolet radiation is being released or reflected by surfaces. Long wavelengths mean that surfaces are trapping UV radiation and increasing the urban heat island effect. Hotter urban temperatures can mean increased energy costs. If your city is hotter, you're much more likely to suffer from heat stroke, hyperthermia, or heat exhaustion. An urban heat island can be as much as 5 degrees hotter than its surrounding rural areas. The intensity of the urban heat island effect is all dependent on population, emissions, amount of impermeable surfaces, and a bunch of other factors. And it's all relative. So even though it's only 15 degrees in the suburbs right now, it could still be 5 degrees warmer than nearby urban areas. Centuries of forcing people of color into specific urban areas, known as redlining, has made people of color much more likely to suffer from heat-related illnesses. And when we factor in the rise in global temperatures associated with anthropogenic climate change, people of color become even more severely impacted. So, reducing the urban heat island effect directly creates a more equitable future, and there are many countries leading the charge. Singapore is building wind corridors that help circulate air within the city. Los Angeles is painting their streets that receive the least shade in the daytime white and encouraging homeowners to do the same to their roofs. Copenhagen has put more emphasis on pedestrians with sidewalks, pedestrian-only streets, and extreme safety precautions in the downtown area. Unfortunately, none of these solutions are perfect. But as we expand and grow, what matters is that we are putting our people and our planet at the forefront of our minds. If we don't, we will undoubtedly pay the price.